This video is for the DeHow A15 control panel. This is the newer, wider version of the control panel. It's currently on a Butterfly 1501. It's got the wide stitching area, and basically I'm just going to go over the basics on this control panel. This control panel is very simple and very user-friendly. You'll notice that we have a top row with 4 different icons, and basically if you just follow each one step by step, it will basically go through the process of how to load a design, how to save a design from your memory, how to do all your color change and your tracing options and everything like that. So the first page, and it is highlighted with a folder and a little flower, is basically your memory, and this is where you would go to select a design from your current memory. As you can see, I have 2 pages. Or you can load a design with the USB icon. I go ahead and press that, press the USB, and then I would go and select the design that I want to use. I'm going to go ahead and go with the tiger, and all you need to do here is press this orange flower with the red arrow going to the left. It'll be in pattern number 12 in our memory, so I'm going to go ahead and say yes, and then it'll take you back to your USB to see if you want to load another design. At this moment I'm going to go ahead and just go back and then go to the design that we had downloaded, which was in 12, highlight it, and then you can go ahead and hit enter, and as you can see, it'll jump over to the second option, which is a flower with a pencil or a pen. And here you will have an option to select the direction of your design, so you can actually flip the design in any direction that you decide. You have every direction, a mirror mode as well, but I'll go ahead and leave it in that option. You'll also have your angle, scale, XY, prior mode, repeat mode, and all these other things that you have down here as well. But the main one that you're going to use here is your direction, and that's in case you need to flip your design in any direction that you would want to run it as. So after that, I'm going to go ahead and hit enter, and it'll go ahead and go to the next option. This is going to be our color change option. The icon here is got 2 needles and basically a square with 2 arrows going left and right. On here is where you can select your colors. So I'm going to go ahead and, as you can see on the right, you have 1 through 15, and basically these are your needles and your colors that you have on the machine. So just keep that in mind, and they'll be in that order, whatever order you have them in. If you need to go and change the colors, or you need to change out a color in your needles, you can always go down to this bottom button that's got 2 needles and like a 2 shaded squares and 2 white squares, and you can actually go in there and select the colors. You have 1 through 15, and you can go in there and select whatever colors you need to have that set up basically the same way as you would have it on your machine, so that when you select your colors, it'll look the same here as it should look, the way it's supposed to look basically. On this one, I know the first color is either pink or red, and I know that's 13, so I'm going to go ahead and hit 13. And that'll select my first color. It'll go down to the second color. I know my second color is orange, and I'm going to go ahead and select that. So for that one, it would be 3. No, I'm sorry, yeah. And my third color would be white, so I'm going to go ahead and hit 15. And my last color would be black, I'm going to go ahead and hit 6. Once you're done selecting your colors, go ahead and hit the enter button, and it will go ahead and take you to your last option. So as you can tell, we've been moving along. This would be the last part of our selecting everything that we need in order to run the machine. As you can see, you have a scissors button, basically that will do a trim. If you press that, you want to go ahead and do the first option, and that will actually do a trim. Go ahead and get out of there. This is your 100-degree button, so basically if for some reason your machine gives you some type of not a head-up error, or it's giving you some other type of error, you basically press this 100 button and it recenters itself. This is going to be your automatic, so if you press that, it'll move over to manual, and basically what that means is that you would have to manually color change the machine. Okay. Down here you will have your needles, and just keep in mind that you always want to start with needle number 1. We're currently on needle number 1 at this time, and that's the needle that you always want to start off with when you center your hoop. And the reason for that is you just have a better point of view, and it's just easier to center your hoop with needle number 1. I'm going to go ahead and exit out of there. So if you were on 3, it'll show you up here on the right what needle you're on. So just always remember to start on needle number 1. Even if you've selected a different needle to run, the machine will automatically move over to whatever needle you've selected to run after we hit the start button. So I'm going to go ahead and exit out of here. So you have your frame arrows here. Basically this is so you can move your frame and center your hoop. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to center my hoop, and you also have the button in the center. This is to slow down your frame. So when it only has one red triangle, it's going to be slower, and when it has 2, it'll be faster. So I'm just going to center my hoop, and then our trace, I'm going to go ahead and put this back on automatic too. Our trace is going to be right here in this orange one with the magnifying glass. And basically you'll have 2 options for your trace. You'll have your standard square trace, and you'll have the circle represents, it will do the outline of the actual design, which I feel is a little bit better just because it does the exact outer part of your design. So when you press this, it will do a trace. And let me see if I can move it over to show you really quick what it's doing. So I'm currently tracing on needle number 1, and it's basically just doing the outline, and you just want to make sure that needle number 1 is inside of the hoop. It's not too close to any edges or anything, because you definitely don't want to hit anything. And you can always go back and move your frame if you need to, and readjust it, or if you need to use a larger hoop, you can always pull this one out and you put in a bigger one. And always just make sure that you do a trace before any run. Like I said, you always want to do it with needle number 1. Once we're done with that, we'll go ahead and hit the check mark, and basically it'll take us back to this page. The last and final thing is putting it in embroidery confirm. So go ahead and press on this red button down here, and you're going to hit the check mark, and it'll turn blue, and you will notice that the design will pop up in a gray stitching. Once you start running, the design will automatically start stitching on the screen, so you can see exactly what's going on. This is your start and stop button, by the way, on this machine. So if you need to stop, you need to press this button while it's running. If you need to back up or go forward on any stitches, so let's say you have a thread break and you want to back it up a few stitches, you have all these options to go ahead and do that. You can go back or forward. These first 2 are basically if you hold it down, I believe more than 3 seconds, it'll just continue to move back until you press it again, and it's on both of these. The second option is going to be, it'll only go back 1 stitch or go forward 1 stitch, and then on this one it's 10, on this one it's 100. On this bottom left is really fast. On this other one, it's your color change. So if you want to move up a color or move back a color. And then these 2 is if you want to go to the end or if you want to go to the beginning. So just remember that on most machines you'll have two buttons. You'll have a green and a red. Basically your red is to back it up. On this one it's different. It's going to be this option right below your frame. So just remember that. Also, you will have your speed or your RPMs right here, so you can turn it up or down. You can turn it up or down before a run and during a run. And that's about it. When you're done with the design, or you want to go into edit mode, or you want to run something else, you always have to release the embroidery. So you always want to press this blue button. It'll tell you cancel embroidery. You hit yes, and then you would go back to the beginning and start over, select the design, and just move your way over. Remember, every time you select something, you hit enter, and it'll go on to the next option. So that's basically it. It's a very easy and fun control panel to use, and I really hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.